Hi, my name is Marguerite Quinn. Um, Prior to my illness, was a principal in a large primary school. For 32 years prior to that, I taught in that school. The final 13 years I spent in the SEN department of the school, working with children with disabilities. I've only been the principal for the year, but I hope to get back to it as soon as possible.
Great. So, what technologies have you used which benefit the students you've worked with in classrooms over the years?
Yeah, well, having taught for 33 years, I've seen a lot of different technologies come. Some have gone, some have stayed. I mean, we started off with the overhead projectors for the Irish choral, and then we moved on to whiteboards. Then around the year 2000, 1999, I went back and did a postgrad in ICT because at that stage it was becoming obvious that that was the way things were going to go. And there was a big group of us, about 15 of us who did that ICT. Now I continued the year after with the Masters, but then unfortunately I got pregnant and that was the end of the Masters. But I was quite happy with what I had done. I had got a lot out of it at that stage. So then we moved on, and in our school, we're a big school, and we had a great parents' council who worked tirelessly to try and raise money to provide whiteboards, and we are now, every one of our classrooms have whiteboards. The vast majority of them are touchscreen. So it's certainly obvious in the infant classrooms. They are so used to technology. When they come into us, we had to move with it and use it to their benefit to grab their attention and keep them entertained. And there's so much they can do. They can video themselves. They can do all that. Up to school is a little bit different because you always have that feeling, people saying, are they really working if they're on a computer? But when you see them doing their group work, and certainly if you're working in SEN where I was, I had one particular child who was a severe dyslexic, and what worked for us, he wanted to be able to write his own stories. So I gave him a digital camera, very small. He went home, he took pictures of his weekend. He worked with Granddad, he worked with Dad, putting in a kitchen, and straight away there I had some maths to do the following week, and we also had the layout and perspective, and he had a story by the end of the week, and I was able to record him reading it, so that then he could follow the words with his own finger through his own voice. It was a very simple piece on his laptop. Also, he found it hard to remember words, so using PowerPoint, we put all the words up. He only had to click a button and see how fast he could remember. It became a game. So it was something I used an awful lot in SEN, and it's of benefit to everybody. But it's like everything else. Yes, it can be a time filler if that's what you use it for. But if you sit down and plan it, it is just one of the best things that I can say I learned during my time in education.
Oh, brilliant. Can you say something briefly about why you've had the need to explore AT personally?
So I'm known in my house as the gadget woman because I have every gadget going. I love that. I think that stems from my father. I was a bit of a tomboy, so I was always with him taking things apart and putting them together. So when computers came in, I probably in another life would have gone down that road, I think. So I love that. But last October, I unfortunately had an aneurysm that bled in my brain, and I had a stroke from that. So for me, it has affected me in that my eyesight has been affected. So for me to go back to work, I'm using a piece of software called Dragon, naturally speaking, because now I can speak and have have it go to speech to text, which means it makes it easier for me than using the keyboard. So I'm exploring different ways of that could help me there. I can't drive anymore, so I was really delighted to see the new initiative that was in Dublin last week, where the driverless car went down, I was saying, I'll be the first one in my village driving a driverless car, or not driving a driverless car. So I'm thinking if it's going to be used for public transport, it won't be long before it'll be available. Because driving is gone for me now. But so lots of things go, but you've got to use technology to help you get on with it. So my iPhone I use to kind of keep in contact with friends. WhatsApp, we have a WhatsApp group here in the hospital, and we're arranging a weekend. They're coming to Limerick. I'll have to mind them for. So it's a way of keeping in communication with all the people that I would have, be it a parents' council, or the chairperson of my board, or my staff. So to me, technology is great.